I hope it's this beautiful this weekend as we gather with our youth and adult leaders for our fall retreat over at Christ Mount. I'm excited for our youth to get to know the person, the figure, and some of the writings of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, this German Christian who, in the course of his challenging life, had to make serious decisions about exactly how he would serve God, what it would cost him, and what kind of reward he was seeking. Well, the book will be working through his life together, and all of our youth will come home with a copy of the book and a better introduction to Bonhoeffer. And I hope that our parents, as you are at home this weekend, if you're not helping out, that if you don't have this book on your shelf, you make a point to go and find a copy. They're all around, or maybe borrow your youth when they come home. Wise words for us to consider today, as we are all kind of stuck still outside of church, having to think about Christian community when we're apart from it, which is exactly how it was for Bonhoeffer when he wrote that book. But I want to read a few words that he wrote a couple years later when he was stuck in prison. His last couple years of his life, he was in prison, and he was writing to his parents. And it happened to be Pentecost, which they call Whitsuntide. And so let me read this first line to his parents, written in June of 1943. He says, "Dear parents, well, Whitsuntide is here, and we are still separated, but it is in a special way a feast of fellowship. When the bells rang this morning, I longed to go to church, but instead I did as John did on the island of Patmos, and had such a splendid service of my own that I did not feel lonely at all, for you were all with me, every one of you, and so were the congregations in whose company I have kept Whitsuntide." Do you feel the presence of the congregations that you've been a part of in your life? Do you feel the people in the pews of First Baptist Church of Asheville, even though we've been apart for so long? What would lead to this sense of connection despite the distance? For Bonhoeffer, it was the deep-rooted foundations of his sisters and brothers upon the person and the life and the saving grace of Christ. So I hope and pray that this weekend, our youth, as they come to know better Dietrich Bonhoeffer and come to think maybe a little more on point and deeply about the nature of Christian community, I hope that they continue to help us help form these ties that bind us as we continue to be outside of the church and yet very fully, visibly embodying the church each and every day. The peace of Christ be with you all.